Today, we're diving into a really wild idea. What if the future that every government and corporation is planning for is built on a massive miscalculation? What if the real deadline for a global economic shift isn't 2030, but it shows up a whole lot sooner?
You see that date everywhere, right? 2030. It's the big target for global agendas, for corporate strategies, for basically everything. The whole world is running a race, and we all think the finish line is at the end of this decade.
But what if we've been reading the map all wrong? What if that finish line we're all sprinting towards is actually the edge of a cliff? Because here's the thing. While all the policymakers are thinking in nice, straight, linear timelines, the engineers are watching an exponential curve. And that curve? It points to a massive economy-shattering event not in 2030, but in 2028. Let's get into why.
Okay, so where in the world does this 2028 date even come from? Well, this prediction is anchored in the work of one of the planet's most respected and accurate futurists.
Let me introduce you to Ray Kurzweil. He's Google's director of engineering, and he has a long history of making these startlingly accurate calls about technology. For years, he has been laser-focused on one specific moment, the arrival of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and he has a year for it, 2029.
So, why should you or I take this guy's prediction seriously? Well, over the last 30 years, Kurzweil has made 147 very specific predictions about the future of tech. His accuracy rate? A staggering 86%. That's a track record that, frankly, you just can't ignore.
And here is the absolutely crucial connection. If AGI arrives in 2029, the global economy is not going to wait around to see what happens. The market is a forward-looking machine. It prices in huge events like this 6 to 12 months before they actually happen. That means the real financial shockwave, the panic, the repricing of every single asset on Earth, that's a 2028 event.
But you know, this isn't just about AGI. This is about what the source material calls a triple singularity. 3 enormous technological forces, all converging and hitting their breaking point at the exact same time.
So what on earth is a triple singularity? It's the meeting of 3 powerful forces. You have the infinite intelligence of AI, the nearly zero-cost labor of advanced robotics, and the totally deflationary economics that happens when wages and prices collapse at the same time.
Let's just break that down real quick. Step 1. That's the software revolution we're living through right now with companies like OpenAI and DeepMind, where the cost of thinking just plummets. Step 2 is when that software gets a body. That's the robotics revolution. And step 3? Well, that's the economic chaos that follows.
See, when you combine an infinite AI brain with a cheap robot body, you don't just get a better computer. You get a completely new species of worker. One that can work 24/7 for pennies on the dollar, never takes a vacation, and definitely never unionizes.
And this new reality poses a direct threat to our entire economic system. Why? Because it breaks a fundamental rule that has held true for centuries.
We've all heard the argument, right? It's called the Luddite fallacy. This idea that, sure, technology kills some jobs, but it always creates new, better ones. You know, the farmhand becomes a factory worker, the factory worker becomes a coder. But this time, we slam into a hard limit, the biological cap. A human brain simply cannot learn new skills as fast as an AI can be updated. That breaks the historical cycle. And look, this isn't some distant sci-fi future. This is happening on a very rapid timeline. 2024 was the year we saw all the prototypes. 2026 is already slated for major commercial pilots with companies like BMW and Amazon. But 2028, that's the crucial year. That's the year of cost parity.
By 2028, the all-in cost to operate a humanoid robot, to lease it, power it, maintain it, is projected to be around $3 an hour. $3, no minimum wage, no human worker anywhere on this planet can compete with that.
So, faced with this, a logical question is, well, why don't we just slow down? The answer is a classic prisoner's dilemma on a global scale. As Vladimir Putin said back in 2017, the nation that leads in AI will rule the world. No country, no superpower can afford to pump the brakes while their rivals are flooring it. In this race, safety is a luxury. Speed is survival.
And this race has massive consequences back home. It hits the very foundation of how governments even get funded. In the United States, for example, about half, 50% of all federal revenue comes from income tax. So what do you think happens to that revenue when robots who don't pay income tax start doing a huge chunk of the jobs? It craters.
So, if this cliff is really out there and we're heading for it, where do we actually land? The source material lays out 3 pretty different potential outcomes. Okay, so there are 3 roads ahead. First, there's the Golden Path. This is the Star Trek utopia, where technology makes everything, from food to energy, basically free. Then there's the Elysium future, a much darker, dystopian world where all the wealth gets sucked up by the people who own the AI and the robots. And finally, there's a third option, the Great Friction, which is a messy, chaotic transition period.
And according to this analysis, that last one, the Great Friction, is our most likely short-term reality. Just picture a giant tug of war. On one side, you have technology, pulling prices down, making everything cheaper. On the other side, you have governments printing insane amounts of money to try and prevent society from collapsing. The result? A messy, unpredictable economic war zone.
So, if that's the chaotic future we're facing, the source proposes a pretty fundamental shift in how we need to think about our economic lives. The whole strategy boils down to a single, powerful pivot. You have to shift from being a laborer to being a capitalist. Look, if the value of human labor is trending towards zero, but the value of automated productivity is trending towards infinity, then survival means you have to own a piece of that productivity. Your income has to come from your capital, from what you own, not just from your labor.
And this all leads to a really wild irony, which Elon Musk pointed out. He argues that it's the capitalist race to build and own AI that could actually, eventually, lead us to a world of total abundance, a kind of communist utopia where machines do all the work and humans share in the benefits. The big challenge, of course, is just surviving the chaotic transition from here to there. And this leaves us with one final, fundamental question to chew on. For all of human history, economics has been the study of scarcity. We valued intelligence and labor because they were limited. But what happens in a world where both of those things become infinite and basically free? What becomes the new source of value? What is the new currency in an economy beyond work?